All right, guys, we are back for the Dreadful. Thank you, Patreon members, patrons, for you guys are getting early access for this. And then if you are a member of our Cinematics YouTube channel, you guys are getting this maybe 5, 6 days later. Thank you guys so much for supporting us on Patreon. Thank you also for people if you support us on not just if you support us on Patreon, but if you support us over on Cinematics and our YouTube channel as well. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, subscribe, or all that stuff. Thank you for your patronage wherever you guys are available, or I don't know, however you guys listen and or consume our content. Now, the Dreadful, Eric, you had a bunch of questions, and we're gonna dive into this, the Dreadful, as we're assuming you guys have seen it. You have an inkling of what is going on with this movie. What are your main questions regarding the Dreadful? And I feel
So,
confident about answering these questions. Yes.
all right. So my first question is: there was the people that wash up on shore. One was dead. One was kind of crawling up, and Marcia
Right.
Gay Harden stabs them. And
Yes.
so it took a while, but what I got from that is that sometimes people get shipwrecked. They come up on the island instead of having to survive on the island. They just take advantage, kill them, and take whatever they can from them to survive. Is that what
Right.
was
And
going on, or did I
I think
miss
that's
something?
100. No, you did not miss it. That's 100%. She kills the survivor of this shipwreck, and that
Okay.
person that she kills is, I think, a kid, a very young
Yeah.
person. Yeah, and she stabs him with a knife in the back
Yeah.
because, and it's an interesting shot because he's momentarily relieved that he survived the shipwreck, and his momentary relief ends in him being killed within seconds.
Okay.
And then
See, see
Morwen and Anne take the stuff. That's why and it's
that
Morwen. It's under Morwen's evil plans to just kill people and then take their valuables.
all right. See, that was one of the things that confused me because it seemed like there was a reason for it, and I guess there is because they went to their supplies, but
Yeah.
I thought they were like an important character. I thought it was missing something there.
Oh no. Well, they are important characters within the scope of they are among the people
Important
that Morwen
characters in the
kills.
sense that I was in battle with your son or like
Oh,
like
right.
that.
No, no
Yeah.
relation. Yeah. She even kills a friar, a man of faith.
Yeah.
Morwen does.
So that made more sense because he came off to me as a charlatan, and I mean, I probably wouldn't have killed him, but like when she did, I'm like, I get it.
He's looking for some food and
He,
some water.
he,
He's trying to sell some wares that he got along the journey.
he's no, he came across as a complete scammer.
Okay. All
Like
right.
I'm not gonna kill a scammer, but if someone does, I'm like, I'm not gonna be too sad about it.
Well, she slits his throat, as you guys know from the
So
Dreadful, and they take her stuff. Okay.
what was the thing he was trying to sell? It was like in the box, and it was like a feather.
Yeah.
He was just
It,
selling a bird's feather, trying to hype it up like it was some big deal.
yeah. And well, it's probably like you said, he's a scammer. It's probably not a big deal. He completely says there's all the stuff that he got from his travels, but maybe he's just trying to rip off a bunch of people along the way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then yeah, I wonder if Marcia Gay Harden's character, 'cause, like she kills him like brutally, and that was kind of cool to
And,
watch. But
and they dump his body in the river. They cover him in cloth and they
I
dump it in
I
the ocean.
I I feel like that was less of her killing him because he's a scammer, and more that he was using the word of God to do his scam.
Or no, I think well maybe, but I
Like
also
he
think
says
it.
he's a man of God. He is not a man of God, and screw him, and he should perish for that. Or
I also
or maybe was that just an excuse she used to be able to kill someone?
That's it. I think that's the correct answer. I think
But
she's just an excuse, and she's telling herself he's worth killing because he's a scammer, and then yeah, and then she just kills him because he supposedly has some valuable stuff on him. Who knows? Maybe, right?
okay, so now that we got that backstory on
Yeah.
Marcia Gay Harden's character, she's kills the people wash up on shore. She kills a scammer,
She steals
claiming to
a
be
cross. She steals a necklace or a valuable item from the pregnant woman outside the church at the
yeah.
beginning of the movie, just to sell at the local market, I guess. Yeah.
We get to the end where she puts the helmet on.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Because Anne comes out, breaks it off of her, and then her face is all burned up. But then later on, Anne, it was like right at the very end of the movie, you see Anne, and they did this really cool light thing where it looks like she's got a halo, and then
Hmm.
she goes back to the helmet, which is put together at this point because it broke apart when it broke off Marcia Gay Harden's head, and then now it's like put back together, cleaned up, sitting in this box. And then she goes there and she's looking at the helmet, and then it cuts to black and credits start rolling. So
Right.
what
What was your
what does that
interpretation,
mean?
Eric? What do you think
So
it
I'm
means?
so I'm thinking first of all, she takes the helmet off and finds out that it's her son is embodying the night at that point. She's
Right.
like, he came back to me, and then she puts on the helmet because she wants to be a part of him. And I don't know if this is right, but what I think is that the helmet started kind of, embodying her like it did with her son, but she wasn't worthy, which is why it was like burning and like torturing her. And eventually it would kill her, and then she would just be like a dead body inside it, and then the night armor would just kind of take over at that point.
Mm.
But then Anne breaks it off with the cross of all things, and then so that would allowed the night helmet to sort of lose its power for a bit. And then at the end, when you see her with the halo, and then she goes back to the night helmet, she's like kind of curious by it. And I don't know if she's about to be corrupted by the night helmet, or if she's like altruistic for some reason, or heavenly, or if she's got some power to where she can wear the helmet and not be affected by it. But then that would be the question that the movie sort of leaves it with. That's
Right.
kind of my thoughts on it.
Well, okay, my reading and could be correct or wrong, or there's really no wrong or right when it comes to these interpretations of what the night symbolizes. The big twist on the surface is the mysterious night that we see at the beginning is actually real. It's Seamus who was never killed. He embodied from a flashback, he was the big killer and he would kill people and had, as the Kit Harington's character said, his buddy Seamus, they went on this, maybe they were deserters in the war, or whenever they were deserters, they would kill people along the way and get their valuables. But Seamus, as the Kit Harington says, Seamus is became really power hungry to the point where there's a moment where Seamus kills a knight. And when Seamus grabs the helmet of the knight, if I recall, Seamus puts on the knight's helmet
Yeah.
and then he can't take it off. And the helmet itself is a physical, I believe it exists physically. So you're seeing it in person. It's not an illusion. But the knight's helmet signifies power and evil and greed corrupting the individual who wears it. And the person can't take it off because, well, he or she is the embodiment of that helmet, which is evil. The evil helmet, evil person wearing the helmet. So that's why when the Marcia Gay Harden character, when Morwen kills the knight thinking that the knight has valuables, she realizes the absolute sin of it all, or the nightmarish thing of it all, is she kills her son Seamus, who was cursed with this helmet. And now that evil transfers from the dead Seamus to Morwen. Now Morwen is intrigued by the physical nature of, who knows, maybe that helmet has its own powers because we see that mist at the end where there might be a ghost or a spirit. Maybe that evil presence inhabits Morwen where she puts the knight's helmet on as well. But remember, both Seamus and Morwen are have done evil things. So it's very easy for them to put on the helmet. It's very easy for them to be tempted. Whereas the reason why the Anne, again played by Sophie Turner, she hasn't put on the helmet as of yet, is because she has, even though she has participated in evil actions, it's been at the force. She's being, in a way, forced by Morwen to help her with the dead body, or help her dispatch of this, or help her, and she's a witness to all of this evil. And maybe she's a participant, but she's not a completely willing participant. So at the end of the Dreadful, she realized Anne doesn't want to be owned by anyone. Her mother-in-law wants to own her and keep her in that little home that they have. Her childhood friend, played by Kit Harington, he wants to have babies with her and raise a family. He wants to own her. But at the end, Anne is very emancipated. She feels like she's her own person. So she ends up saying, I'm not going to be part of your life, mother-in-law, Morwen. I'm like, but I'm still going to be there to help you. She still helps her mother-in-law a little bit on a daily basis. Now her mother-in-law is powerless because she doesn't have the helmet and she's free off that curse, but she is cursed to have that face and live in that home for the rest of her life and she's dependent on her daughter-in-law. Whereas the Kit Harington character, she just straight up leaves him. Okay, and then his character is now doesn't have her in his life. And
Just
then
kind
we
of
cut
freaks out.
yeah, and then at the end, you think
Oh
everything
no, come back, go dead scream.
right, you think at the end, well, she is the good character. She's the one who she's emancipated from her mother-in-law, she's emancipated from her childhood friend, played by Kit Harington, and then now with maybe she is going to eventually get over the death of her husband, played by her husband Seamus, who we realize in flashbacks was did evil things. You think everything's fine until there's the knight's helmet at the end, and she is still keeping the knight's helmet somewhere in the forest, and she's opening it and she's considering whether or not to put it on her head. And I think it's a symbol where Natasha Kermani, the storyteller, is telling us that although she thinks she's free of all of these bad influences in her life and she's a free woman, how free is she really when the power of corruption and greed and evil is right at her doorstep? And that doorstep is symbolized by the knight's helmet.
I can see that.
That's
Is there
my,
anything that
yeah.
so the night that Seamus kills, and
We're
again,
assuming that person was,
and this is kind of where like the movie kind of gets a little confusing because it's not really clear on the rules of how the knight armor works. It is a little bit, but then you say that about Seamus, like, is it possible that the person wearing that knight, because we just assume that the person in that knight costume is evil because we've seen the
right,
knight, but it's been Seamus the whole time we've seen him, except for the preamble at the very beginning. Is it
sure.
possible that the knight was wearing that armor that's cursed, but that person's an altruistic warrior or whatever, and they can wear the knight armor without it corrupting them? Seamus took it from him, and he can't because he's,
Oh, that's a good read.
corruptible. And then so maybe at the end we see Anne, she's looking at the knight helmet. Maybe at some point she puts that knight helmet on, it doesn't do anything because
Oh, interesting.
she's incorruptible, like the guy possibly that was wearing the knight armor before Seamus killed him.
That's a good read. That's a good read. I
But
don't know.
again, that's kind of a little bit of the problem with the movie because it's not clear on what the rules are. I suppose if
Right.
they do even more dreadful, the sequel, maybe they delve into the lore of that.
I'm
Um,
assuming the knight armor and the helmet, all that stuff, was the inhabitor of that piece of clothing or protection. It's a symbol of the person who's in it is always going to be evil or has done evil things. I think that would be
or
my read of the backstory. It's a transference of greed and evil from one owner to the next. That
or
would be my read.
another read could be the knight's armor is amplifies whatever you are true at heart. So maybe
Mm,
the person wearing the knight armor before, maybe they were good, maybe they weren't, not important. We know that Seamus is evil because it corrupted him. We know that Marcia Gay Harden was evil and it was starting to mess her up because she's corrupted. And then at the end, when Anne looks at the knight's armor, the ambiguity there is
yes.
not whether or not she's going to put on the helmet, the knight helmet. I think the idea is that she will, whether it's now or later, she will eventually put it on. Is she going to be corruptible or not? Is
Right.
she
Well,
going to
that's
put on the knight's helmet and it's going to be fine because she's incorruptible, or is she going to put it on and it's going to burn her and do all the evil stuff? Because I mean, like because all the stuff that Marcia Gay Harden was doing, she didn't want to do it, but she was still complicit in all that. And so
yeah,
maybe that's the ambiguity there. Like she wasn't the one leading all these crazy
killings.
acts,
Right.
but she was looking the other way. So is that not just as bad? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting read. Well, listeners, watchers, tell us what you think of the end of the Dreadful. What is in the history of the aforementioned helmet? That'd be a very good read. So Yeah.
What was our takes right on, or was our takes absolutely dreadful?
Oh,
Tell
were
us.
they dreadful? Tell us what you think. Thank you guys. Whether you get us on Patreon or YouTube or listen to our podcast, thank you guys so much for your support. Eric, you want to lead us out of here?
I mean, this makes it less evergreen, but I'm going to see Psycho Killer. Woohoo! Greatest movie ever, or it stinks. I don't know yet, but I'm sure by the time people listen to this, they'll have their thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, tell us in the comments what you think of Psycho Killer once you see it, and also tell us what you think of The Dreadful. Thanks again.
In case it sucks, this is what it look like now when I'm hopeful, thinking it's going to be great. We'll see if this ages well or not.
And next week, if you see, yeah, exactly like Eric said, if you see both me and Eric not looking like this in the next episode, and we both are wearing a knight's helmet, please do not listen and run away very, very soon. We'll see you guys next week here on Cinematics.